Hello, this was a example coding question that was brought up during lecture. I promised that I would, well, first let me explain the problem and then say what I promised to do. The problem is I want a function that will take as input a list of integers counting from 1 to some other number. In this case, in this example, 1 through 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the output will be this triangle of sorts. What it is the bottom row will be the original list that was input. Then the row above it is a list that is computed from the sums of all adjacent numbers. So 1 plus 2 goes to 3, 2 plus 3 goes to 5, 3 plus 4 goes to 7, 4 plus 5 goes to 9, etc. And then it recurses in such a way that the list above is the sum of adjacent numbers from the list below it. And then you keep going until you end up with a single number. The way I did this in class was I kind of pretended like I was working on an exam where we have to write our answers by hand. And I made a recursive function to print the triangle. And what it does is it recognizes the base cases when there's only one number in the list, in which case it displays a number. And then if it encounters a list that's bigger than 1, it'll recurse on itself using the function zip that calculates the summations. And then it displays the list. So in other words, if it gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it'll recurse on the zip of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 3, 5, 7, 9, and then it'll print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think this works. Then I wrote the zip function, which said the base case is if there's only a single number, then I just output that number in the list. Otherwise, the recursive relationship is that what I do is I add the first two numbers and then I perform zip on the list without the first number. So I'm going to start by typing these in. I'm going to correct very minor problems. Like, for example, that should be a double equal. I think I should put a semicolon there. I'm not sure, honestly. I'll print it and then I'll type in the code and then we'll test it and then we'll fix it if necessary. I think it will be necessary. So there's no output to the print triangle function. If length of L is 1, okay, so that's the print triangle function. And I'm going to let me make sure I type that right. Looks okay. I'll make a zip function. And I think I need to put an end there. MATLAB would allow me to leave the end off if this were a matrix. In other words, columns through 2 through the end could be expressed as 2 colon. But I think with lists, it actually doesn't allow us to leave the end off. Okay, so I'm going to run. So I have zip as we typed in, and I have print triangle. I'm going to start by testing zip. So I'm going to do zip of 1:5, list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3, 5, 7, 9, 3, 5, 7, 9, and now we see our first problem. It tacks on the 5. So I did notice this when I was looking at the code. The problem is that if I have two numbers, actually you can see it most easily if you run the last or the second to last row. What's going to happen is it will add 20 and 28, but then it'll recurse on the 28, which is actually not desired, right? So we need to add another base case. Now, we could handle this actually by just saying if length is equal to 2, we add the numbers together, but then we may not want that because it would ignore the case where I input only one number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an else if length of L is equal to 2. I'm going to say zip L equals L of 1 plus L of 2, right? I think that would fix the problem. Let's give that a shot. Okay, so it fixes the 2028. And let's give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's wrong? Pause. Didn't tell it to do that. Hold on. Okay, so now it's running. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 5, 7, 9 is the output. And if we do zip of 1 to 5, it should give me 8, 12, 16. Okay, so that looks like it's working. And we already tested it on the 2028. So I think now zip is good. Let's see if print triangle is good. So print triangle. Let's do a print triangle. 1 through 5. It works. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 5, 7, 9, 8, 12, 16, 20, 28, 48. Okay, what would I have given myself if this was an exam question? Well, I think the overall structure of the code is correct. So it demonstrates a basic understanding of recursion and how to code it, but it misses one of the base cases. So I would do a minor deduction. Maybe this was worth an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. But it's also one that is relatively easy to catch. I want to show you one other thing, and that is that I thought of an approach to zipping that doesn't require another function. So if I say print triangle, if I do the following, L of 2:end plus L of 1:end minus 1, that should actually do the same thing. So in other words, if the list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then what it's calculating is 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that should result in the summation of adjacent numbers in the list. And sure enough, it works. Okay, so that concludes this video.